So we'll get going. Thank you again for joining us today. This is our fourth workshop from the professionalism series. This one is about improving our professional knowledge and our expertise, and broadening our understanding of the idea of teaching and how we can make ourselves better teaching. So I'm going to try and make this PowerPoint go forward. Hang on a second. It's frozen up because that's what technology does when you need it most. Right, let's have a look at our objectives today. So what we're looking at is to clarify exactly what we mean by the term professional knowledge and expertise. What does it mean? What is being asked of us to do? And why is it important to have and to develop our professional knowledge? Then we're going to look at identifying some different strategies that we can use that can help us to improve this particular knowledge, this particular expertise. And then we're going to develop that by actually creating some of our own objectives and developing what particular areas of weakness that we know we have and that we could do with improving. Okay, there's just a couple more arriving in the waiting room. I'll just admit them in. There we go. So, what is professional knowledge and expertise then? So it's that specialised body of knowledge that is applicable to teaching. We know that whatever career we may be in, we need to learn about that career. And that is very, very prevalent for teaching as well. It's very, very important that we know exactly what we're doing and improve our knowledge of how to be a great and effective teacher. We need to be able to do that by understanding how to do so and how to create conditions where both students and teachers are actively, critically, and reflectively engaged in knowledge making. And if we broaden our knowledge, we broaden our practice, which is exactly what we like to do, what we need to do. So it's our responsibility as professionals, as professional educators, to guide students. Students are always at the heart of what we do, and we want to do our best for them and enable them to go into the world to be the best they possibly can. And in order for that to happen, we need to be the best for them. We are their mentors. We help them to expand their knowledge, their skills, to prepare them for the working world. So we need to expand and develop our knowledge. We need to learn about the pedagogical knowledge involved in teaching. And pedagogy is that professionalism, that knowledge of how to teach, of what teaching actually involves, what we need to do to be effective and professional and great teachers. So we need to have a look at teaching practices, the methodologies involved in teaching, and what works for some lessons, what works for other lessons, and the whole spectrum of teaching styles. We need to also understand our actual curriculum, where our subject fits into the curriculum and the whole body of knowledge that we are aiming to give to our students. So we need to know that in order to effectively deliver our lessons and deliver a brilliant experience, an effective experience to our students. On top of that, it's important for us to know our actual students, to know how they learn, because different students learn in different ways. And it's very, very important to understand the different styles of learning and to be able to adapt our teaching to those different styles. Okay. So we've got this chart here that Odillia and I are going to present to you and talk about the different angles of professional knowledge that we can work on and we can develop. So I'm going to hand over to Odillia, who's going to start us off.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you. Actually, on the chart we have in front of us, we begin with pedagogical knowledge. Now, the question is, what is this pedagogical knowledge we're talking about? The theory and the practice of learning and teaching. Now, there are principles we need to follow. The first principle here, we have the principle and the strategies of classroom management and organization. You know, if we do not manage our classroom well, the learning will not take place. And so we need to be able to manage the classroom and to organize it in a way that all the learners will be able to get what they need to get. You come to know your students and you are able to place them at different positions where they will get exactly what they need. We also need to know how they evolve through time and circumstances. Like Sarah just mentioned a while ago, despite the number of students we have in class, we need to know the different stages or the manner in which they are able to get what we give. And so at this stage, as time evolves, do you need therefore to emphasize on some particular students before they get to know what you are saying? If in that case, then you need to work hard. Equally, we talk about teaching practices and methodology. You know, depending on the subject matter, all the methods cannot work for all the subject. Therefore, the method and practice of the teaching learners has to vary. And so therefore we need to understand how effective learning happens. We do not just need to teach, but we teach and we find out how is it effectively perceived by our learners. Also, we have factors that affect the practice. We check on these factors, and also we need to planning and delivery of effective lessons. You know, as a teacher, if we do not plan well, we find it extremely difficult to deliver the message, and actually it's not going to work because we've not planned. So depending on the topic you treat a particular day, you get to go to plan well, looking at your audience, who are your learners, and those ones who take time and their speed of learning, and you will be able to deliver the message effectively. The next item, we have knowledge of your curriculum. We know each program or each subject has a particular curriculum. So where your subject fits in the whole school curriculum really matters. Let's take, for instance, an English teacher in an English school where English language is used to learn the other languages. You need to have the aims and the objective and the outcome of your subject, because once you mess up in the English language, it affects all the other subjects. So you get to know where your subject fits actually in the curriculum. The context, the content matter, and at the end, the assessment requirements. What are the things you need to put in place in order that the assessment is well put in place and the students finally get exactly what you expected them to have? Thank you so much, Sarah. You move on from here. Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Odillia, for that. So, following on from the curriculum as a whole, it's absolutely vital that that you know your subject matter, that your subject you are completely understandable in the criteria, that you have the specialized knowledge of your subject, that you can deliver to students the whole breadth and depth of your subject and take them forward in their learning. It's important to have your own personal knowledge and understanding of your subject in order to deliver it in an effective way. And also, subject matter, it needs to be relevant. Yes, it's important to understand how your subject came across and appeared in the past, how it is in the present, how it is relevant to students, and how it will be relevant in the future to students. So it gives them a purpose for learning and it helps them understand where it fits into their lives and into the future. So knowledge of your subject matter is extremely important. It's very difficult to just show up and deliver a lesson without this particular depth of subject knowledge. As well as that, this whole umbrella of knowledge it encompasses your students. It's very important to know your students. It will develop your relationships, it will develop your understanding of them, and ultimately it will make everybody have a better experience, a better learning experience, a better lesson. You will hopefully have a specialized knowledge of your cohort, of the children in front of you, the children in your year group, the children in their experience at school. Understand the contextual factors, what kind of background they're coming from, what is relevant and important to know as you teach them. You need to develop your personalized learning. There's going to be different students in front of you that learn in different ways. And that's where this professional knowledge will come in, because you need to know what the methods, the methodologies of teaching are. And that links to the learning styles, because people learn in different ways. They might be visual learners, that where they need imagery, where they need pictures. They might be learners who are more textual based, and they can decipher longer pieces of writing and they are able to remain close to them. So there's different ways of learning, and it's important to understand them and have that depth and breadth of knowledge. Okay, so moving on then. Let's start having a think about what can we do ourselves to improve our own professional knowledge and expertise. What kind of methods, what kind of strategies can we use? Odillia, would you like to do this one with me?
Thank you so much, Sarah. Yeah, we need to know. The question is, what can we actually do to improve in our professional knowledge? I think one of the first things we can do is to keep up to date with the development in the teaching through reading educational text online or newspapers. We get to know that the world is evolving, and so for this reason, we get to check daily in order to know what is going on at this time as far as my subject matter is concerned, so we don't remain a cake and the students don't get to know or to understand us. Also, we need to observe teachers to share strategies and strengths and weaknesses. One of the ways, like we do here in Teach 2030, we are able to share our experiences, we are able to share our challenges and our weaknesses, and we're able to, improve. So when we do it this way, we're going to be able to improve our professionalism. And also, the next thing we could do in order to improve is to broaden our reading around the teaching. That is, you get to books, or you get to go on research, find those works that are in line with your subject matter. Read broadly, and you get a lot of knowledge to be able to help make you an expert in your field. Now, another point, how else do you work? You need to attend professional development training sessions. This, as the one we do here, 2030 programs, is one of the ways through which you can, improve on your expertise. And we have subsequent programs like that, which is being organized in January, and others. So it's going to be very, very important for a teacher to get part of this, because as you keep learning, that's how you keep improving in your professionalism, and before you know it, you become an expert. Also, we need to always regularly reflect on, it's good to always reflect on your practice. That is, what is working, what is not going well. That is, in all the parts all the practices you've been using, you get to choose or select the ones that are not working, you keep aside. You now put in what is working, then improve on it. And by so doing, teaching and learning become so interesting, and our learners get to, um, be so interested, and they get exactly what they get to know. And you, as a teacher, you remain such an expert teacher. Now, how else can we continue, or can we improve ourselves? We got to engage in dialogue with colleagues, peers, employers, to learn how to improve. As teachers, we all know that we don't know anything until we learn to know it. So one of the ways is to open up to people you find in front of you. It could be your employers, it could be your peers, could be, you dialogue with them in dialoguing with these people. We'll be able to get more experience and thus improving in our professionalism. And to wrap up at this stage, challenge yourself in your work. Take on more responsibility at work. As teachers, we know how tiring the work is always been, but yet as a teacher, you need to put in more effort. Despite the challenges you may be facing, you have to give in more time, and in that way, sacrificing, you find yourself improving in your professionalism. Thank you so much, Sarah. Are you there?
Thank you, Odillia. That was brilliant. So we've given you now lots and lots of strategies, lots of methods that you could use to improve on your own professional knowledge and expertise. So we'd like you to join in now, please. And if you could you use the comment box and share what you are most likely to do to improve your professional knowledge? I think there's somebody's speaker on that's conflicting with this one. If you wouldn't mind muting. Okay, thank you. We've got read more on pedagogy. That is brilliant. Thank you very much. That is something that we should keep on doing. Okay, there we go. So in a second, let's just see if anybody else can try. ATPD activities, Natalie, thank you. That is brilliant. Just trying to find the mute button, Betty, so that I can mute the others.
Yeah.
Has anybody else got any more ideas of what they might do moving forward? Got TPD activities, and you know that there are lots on our Teach 2030 website, which is brilliant. Found it. I think I found the mute button. There you go. Thank you so much, everybody, for adding your ideas. So what I'd like us to think about is some actual objectives now. I'd like you to actually start thinking about creating your own objective that you will commit to doing for your personal professional development. Could it be a teaching observation with a colleague? Could you maybe participate with a colleague and share your experiences of teaching, feedback to each other, and then give a date to yourself that you will do that? Someone said that they will read a textbook. Natalie, I think that was you, on pedagogy and teaching practices. I think it's really important to give ourselves a date as well, because then it commits us, it makes us accountable for doing these things. Whoops. Slide slow's jumping forward too much. So see if you can put into the comment box what you would do as a teaching objective, as a developing your professional development. What is it that you will do? Let's see. I know that I have a book on my shelf. Is the screen sharing still working? I'm having a bit of a hiccup here. There we are. what is it that you might do? I've got a professional development, professional knowledge book that I need to read. So I think I'm going to try and aim to read it and complete it by February half term. So therefore, I've given myself a target, and I know that that's what I need to commit to, and it will broaden my knowledge. Is there anybody else who might have anything, a objective that they could commit to right here, right now? Is anyone brave enough to commit to a teaching, developing your professional knowledge, your expertise? So anybody else who would like to be brave and put into this chat box what they would like to do? Odillia, maybe you might like to suggest something that you're going to do to commit to your professional development.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. I think the next thing I would like to do is to, go back to the Teach 2030 courses, those that have not finished with, and try to see how I round up with it. And also another thing that I really need to do is to get a peer, a colleague, someone with whom I will be sharing my ideas, because the more you share your ideas with others, the more you improve. So those are the two aims or objectives I have for this season.
That sounds brilliant, Odillia. Thank you so much for sharing those. Well done. Okay, so hopefully, everybody, we've given you lots and lots to think about today. This is the fourth workshop in our professionalism series. It's the last one for this particular group of workshops, and they are all recorded, so you can look back over them and think about your own personal professionalism and how you can take it further. Maybe it's to think about professionalism, professional communication. Maybe it's to develop your professional knowledge. Maybe it's your professional presentation. There's lots of different angles that we have covered over this series of workshops. And if you go onto our Teach 2030 website, you will see lots and lots of information, lots and lots of teaching tips, there's ambassador contributions, blogs, there's all sorts which will help develop you professionally. I'm going to start rounding up now, unless anybody has anything that they would like to contribute, anything that they would like to share about professional development, professionalism, then not your own knowledge, what steps you will take moving forward. Okay, well, we've run over a little bit slightly, so I'm going to start ending the session now. Odillia, I just want to say thank you so much for joining and co-hosting with me today. It has been a pleasure to have you along and to have your support and your brilliant ideas and contributions. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today in this workshop. Again, if you've got any questions, please feel free to direct message or email on the ambassador group chat or through the email, Commonwealth emails. We'll all be happy to help you in any professional development questions you have. Thank you, everybody. Odillia, are you okay? Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Thank you so much, Sarah, for the opportunity you gave me to be able to co-host this meeting. I had thought of co-hosting like some sort of so difficult, but then I just saw it pass like the way it did. Thank you so much. I'm grateful. I'm looking forward for such a program again next time. I would like to continue. Thank you so much.
That's
Thank
brilliant.
you, everyone.
Thank you, Odillia. I'll be in touch with you. Thank you for joining, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye.